Hi everyone, 안녕 얘들아. Welcome back to another episode of the Cart Podcast with me Sim, where I talk a lot about Korean entertainment. And I mean a lot, I always talk too much probably. But today I'm going to be talking about a film that came out recently. I don't really watch a lot of Korean films, but these days I'm starting to get into it more. I think it's because I like watching films now after a long day of work rather than watching a drama which I'll get addicted to. So there have been so many good Korean films that have come out over time, and they always reference these in like shows and dramas. Some of them I'm aware of, but others I'm not so familiar with. But I didn't really watch as much as I do now. There is another movie that came out recently as well, and the cast appeared on Jesse's show to view, and that movie is called Shark Boy, based on a web drama. I watched half of it, but then I fell asleep, so I need to watch the other half yet. But no, today's film I'm going to be talking about is called Space Sweepers, or in Korean, 승리호. By the way, if you hear noises of nature and outside generally, I'm really sorry, but the place I'm at is the only place I can record quietly, sort of, and it's upstairs and it's really hot because I live in the UK, and in the summer, obviously, it gets too hot upstairs and the windows are all open, but yeah, it's gonna be a bit noisy, so I'm sorry about that in advance. So the word 승리호 is the name of the film, and the word Seungri means victory in Korean, and the name corresponds to the spaceship that the main characters of the film work on. When I saw this film trailer, I was instantly drawn to the fact that it was science fiction and space is involved, because I really like that sort of thing. I like space and stars and things that I like sci-fi like, so I was instantly drawn because of that. I always like seeing how these films interpret space, because there's a lot of different sci-fi and space type films, so every time there's a new one out, it's kind of interesting to see how the people who created this film made their twist on it. It's nice to see alternate realities as well. I like that sort of thing. This film was meant to be released earlier, but because of the pandemic and COVID, they had to... COVID and pandemic is the same thing, sorry. But because of the pandemic, they had to delay the release, but it was originally filmed in 2019. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm reading the notes I wrote down to record this episode. I've put drama literally everywhere. So this just shows how often I watch Korean films. So the cast of this film are as follows. We firstly have the amazing Song Joong-ki, and he plays Kim Tae-ho, who used to be one of the best commanders of the Space Guards. Next we have Kim Tae-ri, who is Captain Jang, and she was a former squad officer, and she deserted her post to basically become a sort of space pirate, and she's also known to have attempted to assassinate the CEO of this thing, which I'll explain in a minute, James Sullivan. Kim Tae-ri and Song Joong-ki also came in Vincenzo together as well, if you wanted to know that. But next we have Jin Son-kyu as Tiger Park, and he was like a drug dealer of sorts on Earth, but he escaped after he got arrested and sentenced to death. Next we have Yoo Hae-jin as the Robot Bobs, and this robot was once a military robot, but now she. Basically, it's a robot that wants to have a skin and become a woman. So this robot is trying to save up and get a skin and gender change. Well, she wants skin and she wants a gender change. Later on, this is portrayed by Kim Hyang-gi, and she's a very cute actress, and that is basically the new skin of the robot. And next we have the one, the only. And when I first saw him in this film, I was super shocked. Basically, we have Richard Armitage as the CEO of the UTS. That's what I was trying to get at earlier, the UTS. And Richard Armitage, oh my god, I saw a British actor in a Korean film, I was completely in shock when I saw it. I literally, I looked at the screen and was just like, is that Richard Armitage? And I researched it on Wikipedia, and it was, and I was so shocked and so hyped to see him in a Korean film, because I've literally known him since when he portrayed Guy of Gisborne in Robin Hood. I used to watch Robin Hood, it used to be a BBC show that came on every Saturday, and me and my siblings used to watch the episodes every single week, and I just remember the memories coming back. And also, he came in another BBC show called Spooks, I think, and then he also obviously played Thorin Oakenshield in The Hobbit. So when I saw him in here, I was so proud to see him in a Korean film, because he is such a great actor, and he's one of my favourite actors from as long as I can remember, basically. So yeah, Richard Armitage. I just hyped him up so much, but he's such a great actor. And then next we have Kim Moo-yeol as Kang Hyun-woo, and that is the father of the special child Kang God-nim. And Kang God-nim, or Dorothy, is played by Park Ye-rin. So that is the cast. Do you know what? I'm so sorry. I literally mispronounced his name. And do you know what it is? It's because when I was younger, I used to call him Richard Armitage, but it's not. It's Richard Armitage, and I always forget because ever since Robin Hood, I've been calling him Richard Armitage, but it's Armitage. I'm really sorry. I'm very, very sorry about that. But yeah, moving on to the plot of this story, and it's basically a story set out in the future, and the Earth has become a toxic environment and is uninhabitable due to the toxic air. And there is a large corporation known as the UTS, and the CEO, James Sullivan, is in charge of this UTS. And he basically built another home for humanity where humans can live in a good atmosphere, but they only select a couple to ascend. And it is known that if you live in this environment, you obviously have to have connections and basically be rich or something. But because there are a lot of citizens who want to live there from the Earth, they go up and sort of linger around in space, and they become non-citizens who are basically in the orbit of the Earth. And these non-citizens are regulated by the UTS as well to ensure that they follow certain rules and pay their taxes, because they're basically just sort of lingering around the Earth and the UTS. So the main career that these non-citizens have is known as space sweepers, and this is where they collect debris and space junk which is floating around in orbit. They sell this debris to the company UTS, and this is where the 승리호 spaceship comes into play. We have on board of this spaceship Captain Jang and her crew, the robot Bubs, Tiger Park and Kim Tae-ho. One day these guys are doing their usual job collecting space debris, and they notice a little kid on board of their ship, and straight away they see the news of this lost robot who they believe is lost, and named Dorothy, who's basically a weapon. She can basically explode any second. After they try and understand the situation that they have just got themselves into, they also are short on money as well. They take this opportunity to gain a large sum of money to return Dorothy, and they sort of ransom her in a way. But when they go to make the swap, Dorothy wanders off, and this is in the middle of a club or something, and this swap fails. They end up trying to get killed by the UTS soldiers instead. Over time, they become fond of Dorothy as well, mainly Tiger Park. Kim Tae-ho at the beginning seems hostile towards her, but that's because he has another backstory. When they see Dorothy go to the toilet, Captain Jang particularly realises and notices that she's definitely not a robot. In the midst of all this, we understand that the CEO of the UTS, James Sullivan, is not at all what he seems, and Dorothy is a threat to the work he has created and wants her dead. The crew of the 승리호 and the rest of the space sweepers try and save Dorothy while getting rid of James Sullivan. And that's basically the plot And I have to say, I really love watching this film. The fact that there was space involved and Richard Armitage, oh my gosh, and it made the film so interesting to watch. The humour and the script that was put together for this drama, for this film was done really well. I think the writer did a really good job of defining the main characters so well, and they gave a good story for each of them as well. The story itself is also quite unique and nice. Park Yerin, who plays Dorothy, I think did such a good job. I always find it so interesting and have so much respect for child actors and actresses that do such a good job at their acting. I find it unbelievable, wow, they're really good at just acting and they're so young. And the fact that Dorothy was involved in the story just makes the story just a whole lot more, the story so much more wholesome. There is a scene which I think is my favourite from this film. If I say drama, I'm really sorry. And this scene also comes in the trailer, and it's when Dorothy is about to sneeze and the crew watch her as she's about to sneeze, and they think she's going to explode. So they all get down and hit the deck, they hit the floor, and they cover their hands over their heads. And she actually literally just sneezes, and then she just copies them by just getting down on the floor as well. That scene is so cute and funny. I loved it so much. But yeah, that's it for this episode. It's probably quite short, but if you haven't seen this film, I highly suggest you watch it, because it's such a great, wholesome little Korean film. And if you're into sci-fi and space stuff, then that's a bonus as well, because it's just all the things that I love in one film. So I absolutely love watching it. You can listen to this episode on Spotify, Anchor, Apple and YouTube, and there's also an Instagram account at Cart Podcast you can follow. I will see you next time. Bye! Ita beyo!